So for those who do not know me yet, I am Caroline. I am the 4D program team leader. And I arrived at 4D SAS about 2.5 years ago. When I arrived, my main task has been to, in fact, help with the new process definition for the R release and its adoption within the 4D engineering teams. I just want to warn you, this will be an interactive session. So I will ask you some questions and there will be some interactions. After a quick introduction, we will see what are the key principles that we are following within the 4D engineering team. And then we will finish by discussing about the two 4D product lines, so the R release and dot releases, and their advantages. And I will also give you a few recommendations. And after that, really the plan is to keep some time for your questions. So let's start with the introduction. So as we announced in San Antonio, for those who attended our last summit, we announced that we were putting in place a new software development process that is basically based on agile method. This is only based on. We are not really applying by the books the agile methodology, which is really specific with a lot of terminology. We took the best of it and we just did our own process from this. And this is a moving process. We are refining it on a regular basis when it is needed. When we see that something is not really working well in our process, we try to change things. So what is v15.0? So as I said just this morning during the keynote, 15.0 is just the addition of all the features that have been released with the R release, v14 R releases. This is the first major version that is taking advantage of our new process. So we were really looking forward to see if we will reach our goal. And in fact, v15.0 is just a renaming. In fact, we could have just keep the name v14 or 6. There is no difference inside the product itself. It's just a matter of name. So here is the result. v15 is a success. We have been able to add more than 60 new features in it while we keep the stability. We have done new features, but we have also done some work that you cannot see, that is refactoring work. That is also, that could cause instability, but we have done that work while we were keeping the stability as well. So this was really our goal. For v15, we have a much better adoption rate than v14, as Thomas said this morning during the keynote. And we even have customers like OEMs who started to deploy already using v15.1, which is really unused for our early versions. And what is really interesting is to see that the quality of v15 is higher than v14, and we are sure that v16 will even be better. So with this new process, it just keeps increasing. We are able to remove the old bugs and make sure that what we are adding is really as much as possible bug-free and without instability. So before moving forward, I would like to know if some of you in the room already started to deploy with v15. You're my friends. So 5 of you, great. And does some of you already start to develop with v15? Only and waiting for the deployment? No, okay, so these are the same ones. So let's start by the first key principle, which is, it could sound really basic, by the way, but it is really important. This is to understand the need. So actually, as a program team leader, I'm in charge of understanding the feature requests with my team. And when we are getting feature requests from our customers, most of the time they are just saying, okay, I would like this command with this new selector, with doing that and that and that, and it should behave like that. And by the way, what we really need to know is not how you imagine the solution, but what you want to do, what is your need. so that we can imagine what is the most adapted solution inside the 4D product. Sometimes what you propose is the right way to go, but sometimes we could have other solutions. Understanding is really essential, because when there is a misunderstanding, it is really leading to have situations where you are working for weeks, even months, and at the end, you produce something that is just to be trashed. So this is really frustrating for the teams and for the customer as well, who was waiting to have this new brand feature. So this is why we are trying to work on that really heavily. So what we do to make sure that we are focusing on the need, on the real need, we are writing what we call in Agile the user story. And the user story purpose is to capture the who, the what, and the why. It should not tell the how. So this is exactly what I was saying about the command. And this has a very formal format. It is as a role. I want goal desire, so that benefit. So I will give you a few examples. So the first one, as a 4D developer, I need a means to define dynamic fields so that my data model is easier to manage. Does anybody of you know what is the feature that is answering that? It's already done? Thomas, you know. Object field, object field from v15. As an end user, I want to log in my 4D application using the same password than my Windows session so that it is easier to remember. This can be done using LDAP login that you saw this morning. So the role can, as you see, the role can be different. Sometimes for us, the role is either the 4D developer, it could be the end user, sometimes it could even be us as 4D engineering when we are working on some refactoring. So communication is really important because creating software requires a lot of communication. And this is really part of my role. I'm pretty sure that most of you already see this picture already once. This is really illustrating what we are talking about. And my preferred picture is that one, and that one, because I'm not a salesperson. This is why. So the point here is to say that this is really important to keep talking to the customer all the time when you are working on a project. Simply because at some point, the customer could have changed his mind, or new constraints could come, or they could have unexpected reasons why the need changes. So we really need to make sure that, that we are really delivering what is needed. So to do that, what we need is to have a way to have a representative of the customer inside 4D engineering. The first option could have been to ask you guys, when we are working on a new feature, to ask you to come here, to come at Le Pec in France, and just stay with us the whole time we are developing the feature and working with us, so we can ask you, is that what you want? But it's a bit difficult to do that with all our customers. So really what the conclusion was that we need a representative, somebody inside of 4D engineering that is the customer voice. So to do that, this is the product owner role. The product owner is in charge of understanding the need and representing the customer. What he has to do when we are getting a new feature request, so the feature request can basically come from our business manager, from Thomas Moll, from the 4D forum, from Tao, from a coffee break at the summit. And once we have understood the feature request, the product owner is writing the user story and writing what we call the functional requirements. So this is really what we need. And again, we are not talking about the how at that point. It will come later. When this is simple, we can do it by our own. When we are having very complex requests, sometimes we are coming back to the customer about the functional requirements, and we are also asking the customer to confirm during the beta test that this is really meeting his need, that this is really what he wanted. And we'll talk about this later in the presentation more into details. So there are the customer voice. I wanted to show you that behind the role, there are real persons. So these are the guys from my team, and 2 of them are here in Portland, and you have seen them at the keynote. So really, they are representing you. So before we are moving forward and continue, I just wanted to make sure that we are all, as we are all developers and we should have already encountered a situation, who already deployed something that was trashed after because it was not meeting the need? Only one? I don't believe you. It happens all the time, and we don't like that at all. So one of the basic agile rules is do small steps. So the point here is to deliver small incremental releases and to iterate. So this is really based on the small pieces delivery and on the principle of iterations. Something interesting also is that doing small pieces avoids what we call the tunnel effect. I hope that the translation is correct. I was not sure about that one. This is when we are, in waterfall project planning, when you try something and the workload, the feature itself is so complex that it is almost impossible to estimate the workload. So you start to work on this. You say, okay, it will be 1 month. And then you you work, and you encounter the first problem, the second problem, third problem, you come back to the beginning, and then it takes months, and at the end you say, oh, it cost us a lot, and we were not expecting that. So this is, doing small pieces will avoid that type of problem. So what we are doing at 4D is that we cut slices that represent from, the development time has to be between a few days to 2 weeks maximum, 2 to 3 weeks. But we try to do 2 weeks, honestly. So the big developments are all cut into small slices. So 4D Write Pro is a really good example, and this is why it could be a bit frustrating for you because you think that 4D Write Pro, oh, this is just that, this is a small, tiny feature. But no, more is coming all the time. And having small pieces really make sure that we are finishing the stuff and really before moving forward to something else. So the big developments for us are called epic, as in agile methodology, and this is basically a set of user stories. We do have several epics ongoing. 4D Write Pro, the preemptive process, we have a 4D View Pro, a lot of them. Okay, so let's take the example of 4D Write Pro. So in v15, we started by delivering the foundation, the rendering engine, then the import, and then sending by email. I will not go into details, but this is just to show you that we are having more features coming with each R release. So each arrow here is representing a phase. So sometimes we are able to deliver 2 phases in one R release because it means that it was tiny enough to be completed within 3 months. Sometimes it's only 1 because it was more complex or we were working on something else. And more is coming at each R release. So why are we doing that? Because it also allows early feedback, not only stability, also early feedback. In fact, each set of users, its user story, as I saw you, for example, for the 4D Write Pro example, is something that is a working solution. It is testable, it can be demonstrated, it's something that you can use. It's fully tested, everything has been done. And if we would do that because we need to gather feedback as early as possible. In fact, sometimes when you are doing your development, you take some assumptions. And it is better to realize that the assumption was wrong very, very early in the process rather than discovering that once you're done and you've done a lot of development and you spent a lot of money. Also, it allows to fix design issues as soon as possible. Sometimes we design something, we think this is the best way to do, but the customer tries to use it and say, no, this is not really useful like that, you should do it another way. And we are listening, and we are trying to think if it is a better solution, and if it is, we change. So for us, getting early testing is getting tested during the beta test phase. So we have 2 main benefits for that. The first one is to allow the detection of regressions in a customer context. So why that? In 4D engineering, we are doing the unit testing by the developer, and we are also doing integration testing, but we don't have your applications that have been developed 30 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 10 years ago with a huge number of users. So we are trying to replicate that. We have some performance database that we have created, but this is not a real customer context. So if you are using your own database and try the beta release, you can find regression really easily than us. And it also allows to do design changes without introducing compatibility issues. For example, when we change a command, we always have to think about the consequences for your existing code. When we are releasing a new command and it is in beta test, if we have to change, this is not a problem. We can do that. So let's take an example, a real example of a design change. So for v15 R4, we were working on a feature request from a French OEM, and he wanted to perform binary search in an array. So what we started to do was to modify the existing find in array command. And we did the job, we delivered, we did the testing, and it was put in beta test. Then we asked the customer, okay, can you check, tell us what you think? And he came back saying, yeah, this is working great. The command is good, it's working perfectly. However, this is not really clever because after that I need to insert the element that I was looking for if it's not found. So I have to perform another search to find where to insert the element. So this is where we said, okay, maybe we should change that. So we decided to totally remove the development and do another one during the beta test just to change it because the code was already there. It was just changing a syntax. So what we did is that we return in the command the position to insert the element if the element is not found. So this is really a good example of something that we thought on our own that was easy to implement. And when we have the complete user story from the user, we can realize that there are better means to do so. So now that you are convinced that this is very important for us to get feedback, let me explain exactly how you can do that. So we have the 4D forum. Does anybody know 4D forum? Does anybody use it? Wow, 3? Really? Okay. So this is really the gate to rich engineering. If you want to help us for the R release, if you want to help you if you are not choosing the R release, if you want to improve the next major version, you can just contribute for the R release without even using it yourself, other than checking the new features. So if you want to contribute, you have to go to the R release beta forum. There you will find the beta version announcement with the new version that are inside. You will also get the beta build download. So every night at each compilation, you get a new build when we are integrating bug fixing. And you also can find new feature presentation and examples. Yes?
Just to repeat that, the engineering team is reading everything you write in the forum, the beta forum, and the R release beta. The engineering team is not reading what you write to INAC. INAC is a community forum. You can go to a chat room, you communicate. But this is not a community where our developers are reading. But if you write here, they are reading it, they are commenting it, they are answering themselves. Caroline is getting, I think, a message there. So there's a big difference between community forum and this.
Yeah, this is really the channel to engineering. Thank you, Thomas. So this is an example of feature and presentation message, which my team is doing. So you've got an example from who? I cannot read. Vanessa. Then another from Gilda. Oh, sorry. Then another from Adrian, and yes, Gilda. So this is really to help you to, in a single message, to see what are the main benefits of the feature, to have a really easy example like a screenshot or screencast. So you don't have to really, download the version, download the example, install everything. So it is a first step for you to see, okay, if I'm really interested into this feature, I will download the version, I will download the database, the example database. But at least you can keep track of what is coming. A good way to be informed without having to go to the forum each time to look if there are new posts or new messages or a beta that is announced, you can just register to the forum. So to do so, you have to go to the custom menu there, and it's really not intuitive. I'm sorry to say that. This is not intuitive at all. You go to custom, you just click on set notify, and then you have the possibility to decide for each forum here by clicking here if you want to be notified for the new post only or for all new messages. So this is really your choice. So you are not too much spam, but having at least the first topic, the new topic, will allow you to get the beta announcement, to get the new feature presentation, and to see what are other developers saying about the version. So this is a great occasion for me to have you all in this room and to try to gather some feedback again. So as already 3 people, so it will be among 3 people. 4? V15? Yeah, V15 or V14? V15 or 4? The latest one. Yeah, so the latest one.
Waiting for R5 because it has a couple of key commands.
Yes, and it's more coming. Yeah, and great. So I hope that the other people will at least give us a try and try to download the beta version. Really, this is really important for us to get feedback. It allows to do a better major version, even if you don't care about our release itself. It is really what is coming with the next major version. This is why this is important in any case. So who's at least started to play with the version, so among the 4? Okay, and did you already try to convert your own application?
Oh yeah, I'm using it.
Great.
Yeah.
You're my friend. But are you writing on the forum? Did you know the forum, the our release beta forum?
Yeah, I'm on it.
What's your name?
John Monster.
Oh, yeah. Good. Okay, and so does somebody know that there was some presentation messages about the features, about the new features coming with examples? Yes, you do? You do as well? Is that something that could interest you? Or are you just, okay, I'm getting too many emails from 4D, I'm just bored? Stop it.
No. It's good to know about new stuff.
Okay, so really, my team is spending some time to do those messages. We are really trying to make it in a good way, so it's easy to understand, and you don't have to dig into the documentation to know what's coming. So this is really important for us that we are reaching our customers and not only writing to a forum and nobody is reading us.
Can I ask
Yeah, sure.
So, on that cycle, and I didn't quite comprehend it, the release time between, let's say, an R4 and an R5 or an R3 and an R4, what is that?
This is about 3 months. 3 months or so, yes. Thomas, you wanted to say something?
It's a little bit bad for the summit, but if you follow the earliest announcement in the forum, you get about every week a new feature described. And we describe it more or less the same way we make a presentation at the keynote. So the problem we realized when we set up the keynote is that, wow, great, half of them is already in the forum. So if everybody follows the forum, there's no surprise anymore. So this is a bad thing for us from marketing point of view or presentation point of view is better, wow, this is still more difficult. But this means on the other side for you, that during the next 18 months to the next summit, you are always informed every week about something new happening. So even if you say, I don't care for the releases, it is still a good feeling to know what's happening, what's coming, what's seeing, and you have a really good idea what's happening in the future.
And you're right, when you show us something at the summit, we're going like, well, I've already seen it 2 months ago.
Yes. And by the way, really do not hesitate to ask questions about the new features. Really, for each feature, there is the product owner who is writing the message, and you can ask him a question. Sorry, if something is confusing, if you need more details, if you are interested about something in particular, just write on the forum, and they will answer you. Really, for each feature they are the product owner of, they are supposed to answer all the message, and they are really doing that. They are monitoring the forum. So next principle is about the test. So test early and often. So this is something that we have introduced with the new process again. Our developers are really committed to testing. It means that this is no more only a QA matter. It has also to be a development team matter. For each feature, the developers have to write automatic unit testing for each single feature. And they are doing that, so they validate their code. It's not about saying, okay, I've done the normal cases, and what is at the limit, we'll see later. And the QA will find out. No, we really have to make it work in all cases, and then maybe QA will find some problems with integrations with other features or something else. But at least for the feature itself, it has to be validated first by the developer himself. The automation is really important. Yeah?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When they do unit tests, for example, on I don't know, a new command, how many unit tests do they do on a command, since there can be many ways that it could succeed or fail? Do you have like an approach for that?
It really depends on the command itself. What we are not doing is that we are not testing like different configurations like 32-bit, 64-bit client-server engine. This is only one configuration. But we are trying to test all the different cases. Even Laurent Hainaut is writing unit testing. Really?
Good.
Yeah, and he's writing long unit testing. So we know his assets, so it is failing each time something is broken. So I'm coming to my next point. So we are running automatic testing because it has to be run as often as possible. So it is really basically running every day for every new build. The point here is to be able to fix the bug early. It's always really easy to find a problem when it's just 1 or 2 days after. Okay, I've broken something. Oh, it's me, I know. If it is 3 months after, it will be really difficult with a team of 10 developers working, during 3 months. You need a clue to find. Done means done. This is one of the agile concepts that we are also using. The done should be really clearly defined with the team and all the stakeholders. So it means that when we are starting a feature, we are what we call a kind of kickoff meeting, where we have the development team, the product owner, the tester, the scrum master, even the marketing is coming, and the documentation, to make sure that we all know what we are getting at the end. And if somebody does not agree, we can change it. But we need to agree what will be delivered. And this is really important because it means that we will avoid to add stuff in between. That, when we say, this is the scope, we'll do that in that feature, we should never add stuff that were not expected at the beginning, or we should at least avoid that. Maybe there is a good reason, we forgot something, okay. But if this is something, it would be nice to do that, and to do that, and to do that. No, okay, we'll cut that in a later phase. So we just finish what we started, we finish what we said that we will do, and then we do something else later. We put that in a backlog, and we'll come back later. Another rule that is pretty close, as multiple features can be developed by the same developer, the developer has to work on one feature at once. So first he's doing the development on feature A, then when it's done, he will start feature B. Not start both at the same time, because at the end it could be really a mess. We cannot ship any of them. And also because we need to make sure that this is really shippable at some point. In all cases, if there are bugs after the development, it is a different matter. Okay, he has finished development of feature A. If he started feature B, of course, if there are some bugs on feature A, he will just fix the stuff on feature A and move forward. The release train. So this is something that we tried to explain at last summit in San Antonio. The rule for release train, and this is really what the R release concept is really based on what we call a release train. The rule is that the train departs the station and arrives at the next station on a reliable schedule. So the schedule is known and it never changes. The quality is fixed, so something has to change, so this is the scope. This is really what is inside the train. The R release train is leaving, so I was about to say that every 3 months or so. This was a question. And it means that when we know that the train is leaving, we have to say, okay, what is ready to go into that train? When I'm saying ready, it means that it has been specified, developed, it has been unit tested, the integration testing has been done, the documentation has been written, the marketing message has been written. This is new. Everything.
We layer feature and ship it with the next R release, this marketing is not finished. This is something we love him, but...
This is because of you if we are late. Hi, say hi, Laurent. You know, another Laurent, Laurent Hainaut, Laurent Ribardière, and Laurent Launay, so this is really easy. So, as I'm really lazy, I reused a slide from the keynote in San Antonio. So this is really to show you the concept. So like in that slide, feature A and B would go to the train, and D and E and F, and not the other one. To do so, it means that we need to have a way to deactivate the feature. Because it's not ready, okay, what do you do? So basically, it means that when we start a new feature, we always have a means to develop from the very day one, for the first day. We are using C++ flags when it is C++ code, so that the code can just be deactivate when we don't want it. And the developer knows that they have to be able to deactivate the feature at any time. If we want to do an R release, and it is not about saying, okay, I still have 3 months, so it's okay, it will go into the next train. No, it has to be coded with the flag, so that if we decide that for whatever reason, like marketing message, it's not ready, it has nothing to do with the technical stuff, but if we have a good reason why we don't want to ship it yet, we need to have a way to deactivate it. And we also have some 4D code inside 4D, as you know, the quick report editor, the new quick report editor, the new label editor. So we also have some means to deactivate the 4D code. Does anybody use this kind of concept of coding new features and having means to deactivate it?
No, but that would be a nice concept.
How do you do that? By which means? Would somebody explain?
Inter-process variables.
Mm-hmm.
True, false.
Yeah, true, false, yeah. No, not all the time. Sometimes we're doing that. Sometimes we're also doing if version is that version. So because we know that what is the target version. If it is before or after this version.
Yeah, I've had to do that for versions of 4D where I'm writing into a future version of 4D.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
These commands don't work, so
yes.
I'm checking the version and the code's commented out in older versions, and I'm just uncommenting it when it's ready to roll.
Yeah, that's a really clever way to work. This is really what you could do for your own applications. You are starting a new feature. You don't want that to be a problem for your existing application. If you think about this type of mechanism, this is really useful. So this is the summary. We're done. We will go to the next session that is about the 4D product line itself. Okay, so we have two different product lines. So you know now that it is the R releases and the dot versions. I would like to find a name for dot versions. Really. It is a pain to say dot versions all the time. So the very first R release has been delivered back in June 2014. And now we have just shipped v15 or 4, as you were saying. For those who do not know yet, the R release versions, you can get them if you have either a 4D maintenance program or if you are the partner license provided through your 4D partner program. The classic dot release that you all know, as always. So for 14, we are up to 14.4. And 15, we are already released 2 versions, so 2 minor versions, 15.0, 50.1. So each product line has its own advantages. So let's start with the classic dot releases. What is the first advantage is that this is stable from the feature point of view. If you have an application and that you want that nothing is changing, that the scope is fixed, this is really the version to use. So there is no scope change. You are only getting new bug fixes. That's it. The drawback is that the work that is needed to migrate to this release is a bit higher because it is more work at once. You have to do all work for the next major release. For the R release, the first advantage is kind of obvious that you are getting new features, but you are also keeping the stability because there is a restricted bug fix integration. Really, the rule for us and for the engineering is that we are integrating in the current R release that is in beta only the data corruption problems, if we have, but we never have that. Only the bugs, the fix for the bugs that are related to new features that are in the beta version, or regressions, as I was saying this morning. Regression is really, really important. And so R releases also allow a smooth migration. If you take the R release train, you will just go from one release to another one and another one, and each step is really small. So it's really smooth for you. This is not, okay, I've got to do my migration to the next version. It would take me a lot of time. One drawback could be that if you decide to use the R release in deployment, you have to deploy often. So it basically means that you have to use auto-update to do that. You will not deploy every 3 months manually, or you are really courageous. So what is the best option? R release or dot release? This is your choice, really. We cannot answer for you. We can tell you what are the advantages of each product line, what are the few drawbacks that you can have as well. This is true. And you are the only one who can decide what is best for you, what is the best way to work, to use it for development, for deployment, to just look at the new feature, what is coming, to know what you could get later. But really, I think at least getting to the version, downloading it, and trying to convert your application and make sure that this is working for the future is really something important for anybody, even if you are just migrating later to v16 only and not deploying or release or even developing with it. So does anybody deployed or release here? Okay, all my friends are the first rows.
Add to back as well.
Oh, good. And does anybody try to use it for development at least? To start a new feature for the future? Yeah, good. So our recommendation for those who didn't start yet. So if you want to step into the R release train, we recommend that this is a two-step process. But this is really a recommendation. It doesn't mean that it is not working if you are not doing that way. This is just that this is the best way to go to reduce your time and the effort to do so. First, you have to migrate your application to work with the latest minor release, dot release, and then you will move only after when it's working with the v15 RX release. So let's see an example to make sure that I am clear. So let's say that you are using today v13.5. Bad. This is old. Then you convert your application to v15.0 and you do your non-regression testing. Let's say that unfortunately there are some problems. So you report the bugs to 4D, and you will get a fix. And this fix, you will get it through a nightly build. So you can validate that the fix is really working.
So when evil was not in the forum, the 40 forum has a sub-forum which is not nightly built.
Oh, yes, you're right. For me, it's obvious.
We publish every night our builds. So we have a process running which makes every night compilation. And whenever a compilation is done, automatically it's installer build. And the installer is uploaded to FTP, and the FTP is accessible to the forum. So you are really exactly in our development process every single day. And if you don't get it in 90 shipment a day, somebody is screaming on in Paris because you had an error with compilation phase. This could happen. It should not happen, but it could happen. But every time when a compilation finished, you can have access to it. So when there is a release notes document showing which bug was fixed in this version in the last night. So you have always the case with the newest versions, and you get bug fixes directly. You don't have to wait for the next hotfix or the next minor release every night.
So those versions are accessible through to one other forum that is called for the v15, no, current versions. How is it named, Laurent? Current versions? I think current version parenthesis v15. I think and above, something like that. Difficult name. There was a question. Yeah.
Does that apply to our releases or dot releases?
Dot releases.
So if you have an R release, how do you get current bug fixes and, yeah.
I knew that.
It's always been confusing.
Yes, I understand. So, in fact, I'm wondering if it's the right time to do that. Yeah, we can do it right now. So, in fact, this is for dot releases, right? So for dot releases, you have a fix, you get a nightly build, and for the next major release, you will get your fix inside, or the next hotfix. For our release, it's different. So as I was saying just before, if your bug, let's say that your bug is a data corruption, you found a really big problem. In that case, we will integrate that in the current beta release. So it means that maximum 2 months after, you will get it in an official release. If your bug is not critical, you will have to wait for the next R release. As Thomas was saying this morning, we wanted to support our customer for that. So the customer who decided to deploy the R release, if let's say that you have an R release, you already deployed it, and you are running into big issues for you in your application. In that case, if there is a workaround that is possible, you will have to wait for the next major release. But if really you have a big issue that is blocking you, that has no workaround at all, as Thomas was saying, you need to contact your account manager. Because we do deliver special hot fixes for our customers of the R release. So it means that, let's say you deployed R3, v15 R3, and then after you find a problem, and you say, this is really blocking, I have no other way. We study the problem, we say, okay, there's no other way, no workaround, the customer is stuck. So in that case, we will do a bug fix in the branch, and we will deliver you a hotfix version of the R release.
I said it is a regression bug. It's a major word. So this may sound strange for you, but you need to make a difference between old bugs and new bugs. For you, you don't care it's a bug. But if there is a bug which was version 13, because you go from version 12, or it's a bug we introduced to version 14, it is for us an old bug. We did a mistake 3 years ago before we changed to the new concept. And this is for us not a regression bug. So we don't make a hotfix for an R release. This is not an R release issue. This is the problem with the 15 branch. This is why you had the previous slide saying that you should first go to 15.x, and then make sure that your application runs, that your customer is happy, and you will fix all the regression bugs in the 15.x in the 90 builds. So you get them very, very quickly. But as soon as you run R releases, you will fix all the problems we introduced in the last weeks very, very quickly. Because we are looking on stability. If there was a bug in the 4D for 3 or 4 years, this is not a time-critical issue for us. It was in 4 weeks, so it can be in for another 3 months. It is more important for us to keep the global stability. Because every bug fix means a code modification, and every code modification has the risk you change something here, you have a result there. And this is what we want to avoid. We want to make sure that you can trust the code.
With the R release, when it means that you are getting a release that had fixes 2 months or 3 months ago. So only what is really critical is integrated. We are trying to keep it as stable as possible, and this is really what is keeping the stability. We are not trying to touch too much the code. We have a kind of period where it is supposed to remain the same. at most as possible.
Once I got a bug fix test that I fixed 2 months ago. There's one sentence missing here. It means also the bug fix is tested now 2 months. So we ran for 2 months all the automatic testing. We used it internally for 2 months in our internal applications. So we had a really good chance to see side effects. If you do a modification and test it for 2 days, you could miss something. 2 months simply increase the chance to find it. So that is the reason for it.
Yeah, exactly. So we said that. I'm just going to go to the next slide. And yes, I will maybe start by that one. So this is what we were saying about finding the bugs. When the version goes to beta, we are actually deploying it to our systems like Doc Center, the forum, and everything. We are migrating our systems to the beta version, which means that we really trust it. And also, it means that if there are problems in there, we will find out. And this is really what is guaranteeing the stability. Also, another good thing is that if you start early to use the beta version from the very first day, if you find a problem, you have 2 months to get it fixed. And if it is really a new bug or regression, you will get it into the 2 months. So it means that when the R release becomes final, you are really ready to use it with your application.
And for the people not using the forum, we have an ID build for a beta version. So while an R release is better, we have 90 builds for it. At least in the beginning, as close as it becomes shipment, as longer distance we can. But as soon as the version is final, there is no 90 build anymore. It happens sometimes when we have one build every 3 months. Normally we don't touch it. So we have fast reaction during the beta phase. And you see it again directly in the forum.
And really, the more users we have on the forum, the more users we have, more customers we have using the beta version, the more chance we have to find a potential problem during the beta test phase. And so, you see, this is only improving if we have many customers.
I was going to say that the reason that us developers in the past, we waited until 2 or 3 versions out is because there was none of this in place at the time. So there was no way, and we didn't buy into it early enough, so you guys couldn't have possibly found all the bugs. So by doing it in these short little spurts and getting us involved in it early, then that's one we helped to make the release stable as well. Not just
yes, exactly. Exactly. You are contributors, really, to help us to do so and to have something really usable for you at the end. When you are getting the next major version, this is just R6. There's no big deal. So from the marketing point of view, it's maybe not really good. So the recommendation, this is the pretty much same slide as this morning, but I just wanted to explain that again and maybe answer questions if there are. So this is not the final commitment when we start to deploy our release. If you want to go back, you can. Even if you're developing, let's say you are developing using our release and you need to go back because something is not working, you will just have to disable your cool new feature. And if there is new commands that are not in the .release, it will not work. So you have to comment that to make sure that it is not breaking anything. But you just comment your new code. You can go back to 15.1 and then go back later when you've got a fix to the R release. There is no compatibility break. We always try to delay that for the next major release. This is what we have done between v14 and v15. We had some compatibility breaks, and we really waited until R5 was done before putting all those features for v15. So I just added a few references for those who are really interested in Agile. I put Scrumban because maybe some of you know Scrum, which is really famous from Agile methodologies. But basically, our process is inspired from Scrumban, which is a mix of Scrum and Kanban. So I invite you to have a look at this if you're interested in project planning. Other questions? Maybe you are all hungry or bored, I don't know. Okay, good. So thank you for attending, and I hope that it was helpful for you. Thank you very much.